In the long history of ancient Greece, no city-state inspired more fascination and fear than Sparta. Isolated in the Peloponnesus, ruled by a rigid code of discipline, and dedicated almost entirely to the art of war, the Spartans became a symbol of strength and endurance. But their victories did not come from raw courage alone. What made Sparta unique was not just their bravery, but their ingenuity. They developed tactics, tricks, and strategies that no other Greek polis used with such consistency. These methods allowed them to outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast their enemies. Today, we will explore 10 of the most fascinating military tricks and unique strategies that define Sparta and help them forge their legend. The first innovation was their system of dual kingship. While most Greek city-states had a single ruler or a council, Sparta maintained two kings simultaneously. Both descended from different royal families. This arrangement was not ceremonial. It had practical military value. When one king led the army on campaign, the other stayed in Sparta to maintain order, ensure the safety of the homeland, and watch over the Hellas. In times of war, this meant stability. The Spartans never risked losing their entire leadership in one disaster. Enemies often underestimated this system, but it allowed Sparta to balance domestic security with external aggression in a way no rival could match. The second tactic was the Spartan mastery of terrain. The most famous example is the stand at Thermopylae, but this was no accident. Spartan commanders repeatedly sought to fight in narrow passes, steep valleys, and confined spaces where numbers mattered less than discipline. The phalanx was most effective when its flanks were protected, and the Spartans turned Greece's rugged landscape into an ally. Time and again, they lured larger armies into choke points where Spartan shields created an impenetrable wall. Enemies learned too late that courage alone could not overcome terrain that was chosen deliberately for slaughter. A third trick was their use of false retreat. Most hoplite armies valued rigid formation and despised breaking ranks, but the Spartans were willing to feign disorder to achieve victory. When pressed, a Spartan unit might suddenly fall back, appearing to give ground. Overconfident enemies surged forward, their formation stretching and losing cohesion. At the right moment, the Spartans wheeled about, closing ranks with terrifying speed, and counterattacked. The result was devastating. Many foes who believed they were about to secure triumph instead found themselves enveloped and cut down. This psychological weapon was as deadly as any spear. The fourth strategy was the krypteia, often described as a secret police among the Hellas, but it also had military applications. Young Spartans were sometimes sent out alone or in small groups to stalk, ambush, and kill. These missions taught stealth, endurance, and ruthlessness. In wartime, the same skills were applied against enemy scouts and outposts. Spartan youths moved silently through forests and hills, striking suddenly and vanishing into darkness. No other Greek army trained its youth in such methods, and this cultivation of terror and unpredictability gave Sparta a hidden edge that extended beyond the battlefield. The fifth innovation was their relentless push, the otismos of the phalanx. While all Greek armies fought in close formation, the Spartans turned the push into a weapon. Their lines did not merely hold, they advanced with irresistible force, shield pressing against shield step by step. The psychological strain of facing this silent, grinding advance was immense. Many enemies broke before contact, unable to withstand the looming wall of bronze. The Spartans perfected the discipline required to maintain pressure, never rushing, never breaking, but simply overwhelming opposition through sheer collective momentum. The sixth trick lay in their control over allies. In battles fought with coalition forces, Sparta placed their own warriors in key positions, while allies filled the less crucial lines. This was not only a test of loyalty, but a way to ensure discipline across the army. Allies who might falter were buttressed by Spartans on either side, preventing retreat and forcing them to hold. At the same time, Sparta's most elite units took the decisive flanks. This strategic arrangement turned even unreliable allies into useful pieces of the Spartan war machine. The phalanx became more than an army. It became an engine of coercion and control. The seventh strategy was their use of deception at night. Unlike most Greek states, which hesitated to march or maneuver after dark, Spartans trained to move silently in darkness. They reduced campfires to avoid detection, shifted positions under the cover of night, and sometimes launched pre-dawn attacks. To enemies accustomed to set-piece battles in daylight, this unpredictability was terrifying. An army that believed itself safe at night might wake to find Spartans already upon them, shields locked, spears leveled. Night was no refuge when Lacedaemon marched. The eighth unique tactic was their use of shields, not only for defense, but as weapons. In close combat, the Spartan aspis was not passive. Warriors shoved with brutal force, knocking opponents off balance. The iron rim of the shield could crush bone, break teeth, or smash faces. When combined with the steady push of the phalanx, this turned the shield from a wall into a battering ram. Spartans trained deliberately in this form of combat, teaching their men to fight with every part of their equipment, transforming defense into offense. The ninth Spartan trick was psychological warfare. Before battle, while other armies shouted or sang to stir courage, Spartans sometimes did the opposite. They marched in eerie silence, their formation perfect, their discipline unshakable. This unnerved enemies who saw not men, but a machine advancing toward them. At other times, they combed their long hair and performed calm rituals, signaling that they had no fear of death. These displays were designed to crush morale before the first spear was thrown. For many opponents, the fight was lost in the mind before it began on the field. Finally, the 10th and perhaps most enduring innovation was their absolute refusal to retreat. Other armies considered retreat a tactical option. For Spartans, it was dishonor. This code transformed their soldiers into immovable objects. Even when outnumbered, even when defeat was certain, Spartans stood their ground. This willingness to die where they stood made them unpredictable, for enemies could never count on breaking them with fear. Against such men, victory came only at terrible cost. The refusal to retreat was not only a military strategy, but a psychological one. It turned every battle into a test of will that few enemies could pass. Taken together, these 10 military tricks and strategies explain why Sparta held such a fearsome reputation. Their system of dual kingship created stability in chaos. Their mastery of terrain turned mountains and valleys into weapons. Their false retreats, their stealth, and their night marches taught enemies to doubt their own eyes. Their phalanx push, their use of shields, and their psychological displays crushed morale before battle had even begun. Their control over allies ensured unity, and their refusal to retreat transformed defeat into legend. Sparta's genius was not in inventing entirely new forms of war, but in perfecting them, applying discipline where others faltered, and using every resource, land, law, and psychology, as a tool of survival. They did not win every battle, nor did they always triumph in the long wars. But their name became eternal because they fought with a unity and ingenuity that no other Greek polis could equal. The story of these tricks is not merely about warfare. It is about how a society defined itself through struggle, how discipline can become innovation, and how the legend of Sparta continues to inspire awe. To this day, the red cloaks, the bronze shields, and the unyielding phalanx remain symbols of resilience and cunning. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share your thoughts in the comments.